and I'm Harris on TV, but I'm a black woman. Yeah. I'm a mom. And, you know, and you've talked about it, but we haven't seen you come out and be that consoler in this instance. And the tweets, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Why those words?
So that's an expression I've heard over the years. And
do you know where it comes from?
I think Philadelphia, the mayor of Philadelphia,
It comes from 1967. I was about 18 months old at the time. Everybody's shooting Wiki because they probably got it wrong. But it was from the chief of police in Miami. He was cracking down, and he meant what he said. And he said, I don't even care if it makes it look like brutality, I'm going to crack down when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Yeah. That frightened a lot of people when you tweeted that.
It also comes from a very tough mayor, who I might have been police commissioner at the time, but I think mayor of Philadelphia, named Frank Rizzo. And he had an expression like that. But I've heard it many times from, I think it's been used many times. It means two things, very different things. One is, if there's looting, there's probably going to be shooting, and that's not as a threat, that's really just a fact, because that's what happens. And the other is, if there's looting, there's going to be shooting. They're very different meanings.
Oh, interesting.
No, there's very different meanings, but I think
Do you think most people see it that way?
I think they see it both ways. No, I mean, I've had it viewed both ways. I think it's meant both ways, not by the same person. But when the looting starts, it oftentimes means there's going to be shooting, there's going to be death, there's going to be killing, and it's a bad thing. And it's also used as a threat. It's used both ways. But if you think about it, look at what happened, how people were devastated with the looting. Look at what happened.
There is truly nothing like watching Trump get called out in real time for misrepresenting the origin of his own racist dog whistles. This is Trump lying to Fox News' Harris Faulkner about his racist tweet, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. And here's the thing, nothing drives home the fact that Trump is lying as much as the fact that still, after all the reports, all the pushback, all the news coverage, he's pretending that it came from the mayor of Philadelphia, pretending that he doesn't know where it came from. And if nothing else, it is a testament to the extent to which this guy will lie if he thinks that it makes him look better. He'll lie about something the whole world already knows the answer to, because he does it freely and he does it shamelessly. By the way, regarding the fact that Trump tried to attribute the quote to the former Philadelphia mayor, Frank Rizzo, Rizzo never even said the phrase. He did, however, use racial and anti-gay slurs. He campaigned on the slogan, "Vote White," and even he was a proponent of police brutality against African Americans. So I'm not sure how Donald Trump is trying to help himself here by misrepresenting the originator of the quote, but doing so by instead choosing the most racist person he could find probably isn't the brightest move. And by the way, just a general rule, a quote doesn't come from two people. Another person saying a quote doesn't make it also their quote. You want to know how ridiculous Donald Trump is? Here's a still frame from The Office, where Michael Scott, who's known to be something of an idiot, quotes himself quoting Wayne Gretzky. Now, consider that Donald Trump is trying to quote Frank Rizzo quoting Miami Police Chief Walter Headley. One guy is a fictional TV character who can barely run a paper company, and the other has the nuclear codes. And finally, the most absurd point of all comes when Trump tells Harris Faulkner that this infamous quote actually means two things, which I must admit is quite convenient. He concedes that yes, it means what it actually means, which is basically a promise of police brutality against black people, but then it apparently also means, simply enough, that the natural progression of looting is that shooting will follow, which I must admit is super convenient for racists out there who are looking for a handy little excuse to fall back on, because rest assured, that's all that's happening here. So as much as Trump would like to manifest this alternate version of reality, you don't get to just claim that a racist quote doesn't mean what it means. If he wanted to say that looting leads to shooting, he should have just said that looting leads to shooting, and not directly quoted the phrase that is synonymous with police brutality. That's how words work. And for a guy who's bragged about having the best words, he above everyone else should know that. So Trump can lean on tenuous semantics and parse words, but for those not playing pretend, the intent here was obvious. Trump has made his position blatantly clear, and it's the same position he's held all along. From claiming that there were very fine people on both sides in Charlottesville, one side of which included literal neo-Nazis, to encouraging police officers to use brutal tactics when putting people in police cars, to condemning the hundreds of thousands of protesters who've taken to the streets in the last couple of weeks as members of Antifa or simply outside agitators. Trump has made it abundantly clear who he supports. And despite the fact that he panders by calling himself a populist, his position doesn't come close to being shared by the majority of Americans. If you like that video, please check out my brand new podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I'll cover the most important political stories of the week and interview major players in the world of politics. Available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check it out and subscribe now.